to another episode of Deadly Bloody Diaries, where we take a look into the evolution of medicine, no matter how bloody or deadly it may be. Last episode, we were in 1285, meeting Sabino da Monte, who invented spectacles. And today, we will be using our newly found vision to talk to someone who created the earliest accurate anatomical drawings in the world, used for centuries as references and guides. Please put your hands together for Mr. Leonardo Da Vinci! Thank you so much for having me. I've been so excited to come on and speak with you today. Thank you for the introduction. I'm Leonardo Da Vinci. Lovely to meet you. What will we be talking about today? We are all so excited. You came all the way from Ancino, Italy, to come and speak with us today. So please tell us a little bit about how these masterpieces began. I've had a long history with artistics, and I would love to tell you all about it. I began, obviously, when I was a child. I had a passion for art. It's a very, very big part of me as a child, always drawing and doodling, as you say. But it really became serious when I was 14. I was a garzone, how do you say, a shop helper for a local artist from Florentine, the leading artist. His name was Andrea del Voricchio. He taught me sculpting, painting, as well as chemistry. He taught me chemistry, biology, really inspired the sciences as well as the arts. And when I was 17, I became an apprentice for him. And I think that is where I learned most of my skills that I carry on to today. In fact, I worked there for 7 years. And I'm not afraid to say those may have been the best 7 years of my life. I mean, I was drawing and painting all day, working with other artists. It was a beautiful experience. And then whenever I was bored or I didn't understand or I had no inspiration, I could go out onto the beautiful streets of Florence and find inspiration. Yes. Yeah. I mean, what better than the streets of Florence, Italy, to take inspiration from? But just curious, did you take inspiration for your cadaver drawings there as well? Were there bodies on the street, or how did you come across those? No. My inspirations on the streets of Florentine were very much alive. It was in the 70s, the 1470s, that I began working with dogs and monkeys and frogs and pigs. But I yearned for the knowledge of the human body. But it was so rare to come across bodies. And so I began working in medicine. And it was through that I began gathering or being able to work on human bodies. Yes, it was very interesting. Although I did just start with a human leg. We all start somewhere, am I right? Well, that is interesting. I've heard that it wasn't very common to do dissections on people. It was frowned upon by the church. So did you have to work in secret, or did you get a deal made? Tell me about that. Oh, rumors do spread easily, don't they? You never know who is listening in the streets of Italy. Oh, and how quickly that rumor travels. Oh my. No, it was not frowned upon or even prohibited by the church or the people of Italy, to be fair. It was actually rather encouraged to go and watch these dissections and autopsies because before I came along, there was no accurate representation or diagrams to study off of and learn from of the human body. And as for the secrecy or the deal as you said, no, I was never. I always worked in a medical setting with people around me. But many people may think that I was a secret because I would do so in candlelight, on my own. And on my own specifically because, on my own with other medical people around me, sometimes it's a lot of, oh, they come in, they watch, oh, they leave and go. It's no one likes to stay for long. And that's actually my next kind of point here, is that they smell. Human bodies, especially if they have not been preserved, and in Italy in summer it is pretty hot, the bodies decompose and they smell quite bad. I would not last. Many people don't throw up or ruin the bodies somehow. It's unfortunate.
Well, that sounds unappealing. How long did you last making your creations?
Oh, well, how do I last? Let me tell you. I have some tips, okay? And these are going to stay between the two of us. But I would like to say, here's what I did. I would always do so at night time, or I would try to do so. There was many bodies to dissect. You could not always choose the time. But I would like to dissect at night, so it was cooler, so the body did not smell as bad. And I would also hold a cloth to my nose and mouth to help get away the smell. Because as I'm drawing the body and the insides, it takes a little longer than just dissecting and taking a look. I have to replicate the insides in pen and ink.
Yes, that's very interesting. And speaking of pen and inks, I had one sent, and I have a copy of it right here. Would you mind sharing to me a little bit about what this drawing here is about, how you got it, just a little what it's called?
Oh, not at all. No, I remember that drawing like I made it yesterday. No, that, my friend, is a child in womb. It was, in fact, one of the first ever drawings or diagrams of a child still in the mother's belly, as you say. It was not heard of that a pregnant lady die often. Well, before the baby comes out, you see. And so I was, my boss came up to me and she said, oh, we have a pregnant lady who's died and the baby is still in the womb. Would you like to create a drawing or a diagram of the thing? So I created that masterpiece. And I also drew another called Fiotto, which is the fetus. And it is then that I also learned the position of the baby. Obviously, it had been discovered before, but it was the first accurate representation of the baby, the fetus in the womb.
But tell me, what were your main goals with your drawings? What was the outcome you wanted to see?
Yes, my goal. Well, throughout my medicine career, which I'm still obviously involved with, the amount of people who when watching a dissection or a surgery, even nurses who will help along, who when the body is opened up, they do not recognize the basic human organs, the heart and the lungs. It was crazy to watch, and at that moment I always realized that people need to be educated, and education cannot always happen through a cadaver because they are not that common. No. So I began to work on a book called Treatise on Anatomy. Yes. I began that in 1489, and I wanted to depict the human life, the human anatomy from birth to life to death, and compare them and see and learn and share the knowledge with the world. And in fact, the year I started doing it, I also, many drawings already happened, but I began one that was called The Two Skulls, which kind of reminds me of the skulls you have around the set here. It is very beautiful, very interesting.
Yes, your work blows my mind. The accuracy, the creativity that goes into it. I think it could be used as guidelines for surgeries, procedures, even as study material for centuries. Even your drawings of the musculature throughout the arms and the back could be used for athletes who are training, and just the study of movement in general. It's excellent work. It really is.
Oh, well, thank you for your kind words. It brings me such joy to spread the knowledge with other people who may not have had their experiences to be able to look at a human cadaver themselves. It is unfortunate, but many people also cannot handle it, like I said earlier, the smell, and sometimes even the sight. Some people pass out at the blood. It is very unfortunate for them. But I do suggest that people who are studying, and I do hope this helps them, people who study in the surgeons, use my drawings to guide them and to teach them about how the body really looks and works. And I think that is a very important thing in the medical field. Is the time on that clock right? Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I visit my dear friend Francis Acrolus tomorrow. I must go catch my carriage. Thank you so very, very much for having me on the show, and I hope to see you one day again when maybe you have found a medical discovery of yourself someday. Who knows? But thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for having me on the show. Wow. So full of knowledge and expertise. Leonardo really is quite a man. It's a real shame he dies tomorrow of a stroke while visiting his friend Francis, but all ends in good time. But what won't end, I'll tell you, is his legacy. The legacy of his artwork, not just the famous Mona Lisa or The Virtue in Man, but the anatomical drawings he created. He was the first person to ever draw accurate anatomical drawings for the public eye, even just for surgeons and people studying medicine. There were no accurate diagrams for them to study off of. And it blows my mind that what he did, all the things he drew, him dissecting over 30 cadavers before his death, and creating these diagrams, these drawings, how much progression in the medical field he was really able to create. Surgeons, students are all able to have just such a more in-depth knowledge, understanding of what's inside the human body. And I think that has led to thousands of discoveries in the healthcare field. And yes, another artist may have come along and done something the same to him, but Leonardo Da Vinci was the first person ever to do that with such. And I think we really all owe him a round of applause. Although he's gone. But thank you for listening to today's podcast. Please be sure to follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and our Patreon to get early access to new episodes and little extra episodes that I create. And we will see you next time on Deadly Bloody Diaries. Thank you.